Hi everyone, this is Asaf and today I'm going to be sparring with my friend Roscoe. Roscoe has an excellent pressure passing game and back control, so we'll see how it goes down. Roscoe tries to knee slice, but I counter with a knee shield and a reverse de la Iva hook. When in this position, I like to wait and see what my partner does and respond accordingly. In this case, Roscoe didn't really commit to the pass and he retreats to restart the pass. I use the opportunity to insert a butterfly hook and he tries to float pass over my hook. To counter his float pass, I push his far knee which twists his hip and frees my leg, and I immediately close the single leg X. Roscoe does a good job of separating my knees while I try to close my legs around his leg. He staples one of my legs to the floor and pulls the other, so I maintain control of his leg by gripping his ankle and knee with my arms. Roscoe tries the running man escape and I realize there's no way for me to regain Ashigarami control on that leg. I attack the calf slicer by flaring my inside knee out, positioning my shin inside Roscoe's knee socket, triangling my legs, and gable gripping around his hips. To get the tap, I need to extend my hips, but I'm not in a comfortable position, so I adjust by doing some mini hip escapes with my securing leg and then extending my hips. We reset back into open guard, and Roscoe tries a different passing strategy. Instead of knee slicing and passing through the middle, he tries to circle around and hip switch over my guard. However, Roscoe doesn't have any grip to twist my hip away from the pass, and I'm able to hook his leg and retain guard. He tries to hip switch again, this time with a grip on my shin. This grip twists my hips away, and he clears my leg successfully. However, I have a solid frame on his hips, which I use to maintain distance and bring my knee back inside. Roscoe switches grips on my far leg and grips the toes on my near leg and tries to circle around my guard. His pass attempt is really good, but I'm flexible enough to keep my inside knee between us and follow his movement with my frame on his knee. I break his grip on my far leg and face him, but he uses great timing to jump over my legs and does a knee slice that almost works, but I manage to get a knee shield in. Instead of clearing my knee shield, Roscoe staples my arm and turns away from my legs, which lets me start working on a sweep from bottom half guard. He recognizes the threat and backs away slightly to prevent the sweep, but the space allows me to re-guard. While I re-guard, Roscoe quickly tried to kick his leg back and pass, but I retain guard using my butterfly hooks. I try a butterfly sweep, but Roscoe posts his arm and regains his base, so I counter by pulling his arm and butterfly sweeping while pushing off the mat with my other leg. Notice that I control Roscoe's head and far elbow, which is one of my favorite butterfly sweep grips. Now I'm in top knee slice position, and Roscoe gets a knee shield. I retreat to restart my passing game instead of fighting the knee shield. I close the distance and Roscoe posts his leg on my hip and tries to lift me, so I shift my weight away from his leg. I clear Roscoe's leg from my hip using my elbow and dive into the knee slice pass with an underhook and a crossface. Roscoe posts on my knee, but I break the grip and staple his arm. Roscoe tries to bridge towards me, and I expose his back by pulling him in, inserting my far hook, and clearing his arm over my head. Roscoe clears my arm and tries to spin inside my legs to get to top close guard. I post on the mat and swing my leg over his shoulder to get into the triangle. I first cross my legs and pull his head to prevent him from posturing, and then grab my own shin to start closing the triangle. My goal here is to get my ankle into my knee socket, while his goal is to posture and connect his trapped elbow to his knee. Roscoe tries a risky escape by turning into the triangle with a lot of forward pressure, but I'm able to close the triangle with my ankle in my knee socket. Once my triangle is closed, I flex my feet and squeeze my knees together to get the tap. We restart in open guard, and Roscoe tries to knee slice over my shin to shin, but he doesn't have a strong underhook, which would have led him to drop his weight on me. I get control of his elbow, and when I get control of his head, I use the shin to shin to butterfly sweep him. I wanted to go for the armbar, but he pulls his arm out and turns towards me to try and re-guard. I have a strong underhook, so I post on his knee and push it to the floor and enter the knee slice position. Notice that I occupy the space of his hip socket with my left knee, which blocks him from re-guarding with his bottom leg. He crosses his legs over my leg, so I post one arm out for base, push my knee towards his knee and start clearing my knee. Once my knee is cleared, I pull my leg out of his legs and fight for upper body control. Roscoe blocks my crossface attempt, so I reverse staple his near arm and backstep to finish the pass. I make sure to block his legs with my arm and prevent the re-guard attempt. I want to get crossface control, so I bait Roscoe by feeding him one of my legs. This lets him feel like he's improving position. In reality, I get back into knee slice position, which lets me get my crossface control like I wanted. When I get the crossface, Roscoe tries to bridge to the other side and flip me, but I float over his attempt and get my knee between us. Roscoe frames on my hip and replaces my frame with his leg to re-guard. I retreat back into open guard and start probing until I manage to get my leg into the inside position. Roscoe gets shin to shin and pull my leg in while framing on my hip. I get head control and use it slowly to clear his top ankle, bottom leg, and then top leg to pass his guard. I try a Darce choke, but Roscoe effectively fights my grips, so I transition to mount with a heavy crossface in an attempt to expose his back. Roscoe does a good job framing on my hips, which pushes his head backwards and relieves my crossface pressure. I try to force the pass, but he manages to re-guard, so I pull back and he ties me really well with the tripod sweep. Immediately, Roscoe's putting on the pressure with the knee slice pass, which I hold off using a knee shield. Instead of fighting Roscoe to re-guard the way I did before, I sneak in the baseball bat choke grips and let him pass. At first, he has a lot of weight on my near side elbow, so I wait for him to transition to standard side control and relieve some of his weight before springing my near elbow towards the other arm. I turn away from Roscoe to close the choke and get the tap. We restart in open guard with knee on top, and I consider trying a flying triangle, but I hesitate and Roscoe uses a butterfly hook to pull me into single leg X. I grab his head to avoid the sweep and slowly manage to sprawl my legs back and break his guard. I pass to knee on belly to block his hips since he's trapping my arm with his legs and I want to avoid a triangle. I get my front knee over Roscoe's head, so I sit back and swing my other leg over his body. I control his elbow with both of my arms so he won't be able to pull his elbow out. Notice I'm pinching my knees together even though my feet are spread apart, to add pressure and make it as hard as possible for him to pull his elbow out. I time his hitchhiker escape and sit up to a semi-spiderweb position. While I work on breaking his grip, Roscoe tries to stack me, so I pause on the mat and extend my legs to push him back down. This almost fully extends his arm, so to finish all I had to do was double up on his arm. We restart in open guard and Roscoe tries to dive into Irimi Ashigarami. I spread my legs and pull his leg towards me to get a more dominant position, but he spins to his strong side and threatens the heel hook. I spiral out and grab his heel as well. I felt like my knee was free and his knee was in the perfect position for the knee bar, so I extended my hips and got the tap. Thanks for watching. Tap out the like button if you enjoyed this video and don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on notifications.